Hey there, my peeps out there and everywhere. David Patrick Wilson right here in Wilson's Corner today. And I know we got a little bit different look. You can see behind me is the poster for the feature film that we shot some years ago, which is still very current. It's called Collar. And I guess you can probably see it on Amazon, or you can find it if you just type it in and look for it. It's Tom Sizemore, Rebecca De Mornay, Richard Roundtree, and myself. I have the starring role in it. It was made a while back, but boy, I'll tell you what, it was so far ahead of its time that it's still very prescient, as they say. Well, here we are, man, and I got some serious beefs going on right now. I mean, first of all, yesterday, today is an incredibly beautiful day as well, but yesterday was the most beautiful day I think I've ever seen. I mean, I can't remember a day that was any better than yesterday. It was beautiful. It was a perfect summer day, about 80 degrees, sunny, breezy, perfect temperature, low humidity. It was like perfect, and kind of the humidity started to build in a little bit and the temperature's rising a little bit. But it was, it was great. Not like I want to focus on, the girls at last week's party or any of that kind of stuff. But I do want to say, we've been so blessed here where I am, compared to so many places in the country, the Texas floods, the fires in LA, and my God, for whatever reason, God's been particularly graceful for us. And but one thing I got to tell you, I'm a little irritated about. I mean, this whole new policy that Facebook's got about advertising, they've got so many ads now, and you can't get rid of them. It used to be you could hit the skip button or you hit the X, and now you can't even find the X. There's no skip button, and these ads just run. And it's really about having you hold on, trying to figure out how to get out of them for 20 seconds or so that they can register that they've actually scored, and all that they're doing for me is they're scoring my anger, because I am so ticked off at these people for just taking the information, luring me, baiting me into, checking out a link. And then the minute you go to that link, man, there's one ad right after another. And then, always one of them will hog your entire screen, especially on your iPhone or your Android. And the next thing you're out of your mind trying to figure out a way to get out of it. They've learned how to manipulate these advertisers, man. They spend all of their time trying to figure out how they can nab a commercial sale, And we were free of that for a while, but those days are long gone now. They've finally realized, as I told Jeff Bezos back in the early 1990s, that it's the place to be. That's where you want to be. You don't want to be in network. You didn't want to be in brick and mortar. What you wanted to be was online and in digital. And boy, anyway, I didn't wish for it, but I tell you what, I've got to deal with it just like everybody else. I just wish there were some better products that they were dealing with and not so many scams. You people, you got to pay attention to the scams out there. I don't care if they're political scams, boy, and we've had a bunch of them run down on us, haven't we? Or whether they're, product scams, or they're service scams, or they're get-rich-quick scams, or whatever they present. It's not worth throwing your mind away to pick up on them. You don't need any of this stuff. I mean, we do need entertainment. That's one thing that's true. That's one thing that we found out in COVID that I stress for all of my my acting students and people that I talk to, when I do address a group or something like that. This weekend, this Friday, we're going to be at the Otisville County Fair, and in Otisville, New York. And, we're going to be performing half an hour of my original tunes from Willie Gilly Music right here off of my album here. And Too Old to Be Too Good. And, that'll, that they when you're live, they can't do that to you, right? I don't know yet if Facebook is now going to be encroaching on live streaming, because I think that that's one way where they feel that they can make back their money on the free stream. That's what happens. They get you hooked on these different things. That's the bait and switch. You got hooked on the fact that you could see all of this entertaining stuff and get involved with all of these different aspects of living. And then, once you're addicted to the form, all of a sudden they start, loading it up with the stuff that they want you to bite for, that I'm telling you, it's a brainwashing outfit. I mean, it's always been the same. It's every form of entertainment has come with some form of advertising attached to it, because that's how, they get into the big buck territory, I guess. You just got to be patient with it, I suppose, and pray that the products that they're advertising, that the things that they're coming up with are regulated. But now in this administration, when you take a look at it and what they've done, the Federal Trade Commission, the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, who Trump is using as a brick bat to beat up his critics, having just gotten Stephen Colbert canceled after a payoff from CBS, which I'm quite sure was a payoff. Sue me, come on, put me up there, get me up there. And the degree of manipulation of not just the powers that be, but the people. Once again, we're caught in the place where we've been manipulated to include all of these different digital forms in our daily lives on some kind of fairly grand scale, where we feel we can't live without them. And now, they changed the rules one more time. You change the dance, change the whole thing shifts again. And you just got to be patient with it. There's opportunity in it. I don't know what's the matter with me. There must be something wrong with me. Somehow I've got stuck in there that, art doesn't need to be commercialized. Art needs to be appreciated. Art needs to be accepted for what it is. I don't care what form of art it is, whether it's musical art or graphic art or, performing art. I truly believe that the soul of entertainment was meant to be free and joyful. I guess that's why I'm not a billionaire. I've always done it for the love of doing it, and I'd like to make money at it. I've made a lot of money at it. I've done very well as an artist, as an actor, and a producer. And a writer, director. I've done from time to time. I've made a whole lot of money, but it's never been about the money. It's always been about the message. It's always been about, what are we talking about here? What are we representing here? And crass commercialism and that kind of decadent exploitation of human beings is to me just an aberrant facet of life. I don't. It's not that I don't understand it. I understand what predators are, and I understand, and that there have been predators in every phase of life. It's not just guys like Trumpelstiltsky, who rapes 13-year-old girls just for the fun of it. How disgusting is that? How disgusting is that? Hey, all you mag hats out there that I call maggots, hey, what did you do? What are you thinking? How can you possibly back this man who every day shows how much horribly he can be than the day before? How much more horrible he can be than the day before? There's just no end to the bottom of his pit. I just, And I can't believe that, I know this guy. I mean, not that if I could have seen any change or improvement over the years in the way he's conducted himself, I might have a different assessment of what's going on now. I don't know. But he's always been a disgusting pig. I remember when he first started getting air with what's his face? God, going right out of my head. You hear him on the radio, Howard Stern. Sorry, Howard. I was never a big fan of yours either. But the fact of the matter is, he was disgusting then, man. In those interviews back in the 70s and the 80s, man, it was just a pathetic situation to hear him constantly denigrating people, the way he spoke about women and how he was with women, and God bless his wives. I don't know what were they thinking? What were they thinking? That this man was going to be, they must have been only thinking about one thing, which to me is thoroughly disgusting. These people love only one thing: money and power. But you see, they believe that one necessarily leads to the other. But there is no more powerful human being that ever walked the earth than Jesus Christ, and he didn't have a penny. He had the universe, he had everything in it, but he didn't have a penny. He didn't need a penny. He didn't want a penny. And it isn't money that's evil. We all need money. We all need to live. We all have to deal with the largesse that's the capital that is required in our society. But to be as obsessed with and in love with the trappings of power and of money is, to me, the most disgusting and evil form of humanity that there is, because everything has a profit motive. Everything has an incentive, a monetary incentive, has to have a monetary incentive attached to it. I just don't get it. I don't care how much money you throw at something that's inherently just bankrupt and devoid of any human characteristics is just dead. It's the devil's tool. And in fact, that's what they say. The love of money is the root of all evil, and I truly believe that. I never loved money. I've never. I've had a lot of money from time to time. I've never been without what I needed. I've always been able to request of God that He take care of me, and He always has. And I just don't understand that drive that makes you want to own, get your hands on everything, have an opinion about everything, be touted as the be all and the end all. This man is the most disgusting. For instance, what he's done, what he did to manipulate CBS into doing what it did with the Late Show recently, is completely beyond the pale. And his glee in destroying the livelihoods of hundreds of people, man. Those shows, the reason that they're lost leaders is because people love those shows and they go to watch them, not to buy the goods. They watch them to get some relief from the all day, every day battering that we have to take from bullshit artists like this pig. I'm sorry. I don't get it. I just don't get it. And how you maggots can just follow him, just eat off of that dead rot. I just don't get it. I really don't. You know, the man preyed on young girls. Young girls, man. You know, I mean, unbelievable. And the most vulnerable kind. That he and his buddy Epstein, you know, would victimize those that had so little that to them it looked like some form of liberation, offering them some form of freedom. When in fact, all it offered them was the moral depravity and destruction of their own lives. And whether it got them then or it's going to get them down the road or it's getting them now is immaterial. It's the destruction of human lives. Which leads me to another topic that's, you know, driving me nuts. You know, I grew up in a household that was half Jewish, and my aunt absolutely loved Israel. And Jews could do no wrong. But I have to tell you right now, even my aunt, who was unshakable and unflappable in her support of everything that Israel did, she must be turning over in her grave at what they're doing to the Palestinians, what they've done to the Palestinians. 70,000 people murdered. Murdered. That's what it is. It's murder. And I don't care what they say. You know, I got it. Hamas deserves to be outed. And if I were Palestinian, I'd be dragging them in the street first. But the fact of the matter is, the persistent destruction and devastation that's wreaked upon the population of Gaza daily is an absolute horror. A horror. And Israel, you should be ashamed of yourself and how God doesn't you watch. God is going to turn his back on you. He is going to turn his back on you. He's done it before. Read the book. It's your book. The Old Testament is your book. Get into the Talmud, boy. Read it. Find out what really that's about. I mean, does anybody read it in Israel anymore? Jeez, and I loved Israel. I've worked in Israel, made a movie in Israel, Bar 51, Amos Gutman, Giuliano Mer, who was half Arab and half Jew, and was murdered eventually, not long after I worked with him. I mean, there are some serious problems there. Serious problems. The arrogance is beyond belief. And if I ever see Bibi Netanyahu, personally, I will smack him square in the face. I guarantee it. That pig is the absolute depth. He and Trump definitely belong together in hell. They definitely belong together there. And I know they're going to make it. Far be it from me to judge. It's just, I've read the book. I read the book all the time. I know what it says. I know what they've done. I know what they're doing. And I know what they deserve for having done it. Thank God Trump got off his high horse and finally started to support Ukraine again. After the devastation that's been caused by Russia as a result of the fact that he was so badly played by Putin. This guy's an idiot, people. He's been an idiot ever since I first known him, I met him first in 1973. I've known Donald Trump since 1973. Oh, God, I can't believe I just said his name. Oh! I will go upstairs and wash my mouth out with soap. Anyway, I pray to God I won't be meeting him in hell. I'm doing everything that I can to do the best that I can, to be the best person that I can be. I mean, I even tried to get back in touch with my sister, who, both of my sisters have done some things that are to me unconscionable. I hadn't spoken to either one of them in more than a dozen years, 13 years since my mother passed. And then my sister got back in touch with me and just unleashed a tirade of lies. I mean, a whole battery of lies. And, I had to straighten her out on a bunch of things. And I think she finally got how serious the situation was. It doesn't stop the fact that I still love her. She's my blood. She's my sister. Both of them. Both of my sisters. But they've done some purely evil things. And if there is such a thing. And, I don't understand why people make that choice to do what they know is wrong when they can so easily do something that's so right. Anyway, I won't get into all my laundry here. God bless you all. I'm gonna check out. I ran even a little long today, so we'll see where this goes. Peace.